you, Wendy Black. Appreciate you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am Shel Broadnax, and I want to welcome some special guests. First, we have Bobby McGrath from Raleigh area in North Carolina. Welcome, Bobby. And I can't hear Bobby. What just happened? Okay, Manol, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Bobby, I don't know what happened, but we lost your audio. So make sure your blue mic button is still on blue. Then turn it to gray and turn it back to blue and see if that jogs it. Okay, Bobby, what I want you to do is I'm going to have you log back out and log back in, but do not hit the red hang up button because that will hang up everybody. Close your browser at the top and then use the link to get back in. Okay, so Bobby's going to go and handle that right now. So in the meantime, we have my beautiful friend Manol Shamarine from Texas. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you, Shel. How's everyone?
We are so glad to have everybody with us today. And we're going to talk about staging insights, things that are going on right now in the industry with COVID-19 that is just ravaging the world. We just want to get everybody's opinions and thoughts and see if we can answer some questions, provide some resources, some insight. Some sisterhood. We're going to wait for Bobby to go back on. So in the meantime, we've got a lot of people on. So far, 78 people, Manol, and we've got people coming everywhere from the Jersey Shore, Toronto, California, Florida, Ontario, Canada, Charleston. Bobby's back.
I'm back.
Yay, she's back.
There she is.
All righty. So let's start with you, Manol. Just in general, what's the temperature like in your neck of the woods? Well, so first of all, Manol's in Texas, and staging or real estate has been deemed essential in Texas. So Manol, floor is yours. What's going on in your area?
So in general, the whole market is slowed down a little bit. That's what realtors say, but there's a lot of home sales going on. Last Sunday, they had actually a stats put out that they said it was 50% more houses on the market than the previous Sunday. So the houses on the market are coming in, but the realtors are saying that the ones that are actually selling are the ones that look good, meaning they're either staged or really well designed. So that's apart from new construction. So, yeah.
Very good. And Bobby, what about your area?
It's interesting. I just spoke to two of my agents who I know are productive in regular times, and they were both saying that things have slowed down. There's been different reasons for the slowdown, and that has to do with people who are service providers. You know, they're the workers. They're not sure they're going to have a job. There's the whole mortgage portion too, because even if you put an offer in on a house, the day before closing, the mortgage company will pull your employment to make sure that you're still employed, and people are so up in the air, they're not sure what to do. So you have all of that happening. You have the mid-range price homes where people are, even if they do have the money and still have a job and everything and are looking to perhaps, you know, buy a different house or do a move-up house, they're retaining that money to help their kids out because their kids are those service providers. So there's that. So there's this pent-up hold on that end. And then with the luxury market, many of those folks are heavily invested within the stock market. So as a result, the luxury market is slowing down too. So there seems to be this holding pattern, but it's exactly like Manol said. It's like the homes that enter the market, it's like the ones that are presented well are boom, gone. I just had one last week. I was talking to one of my agents, and he said they had 20 showings in 2 days, and it was under a contract like immediately. So it's like, but it shows well. I had another agent that I was talking to, and she said same thing happened. She was in a neighborhood, a lot of other listings, all the price point, luxury homes. She presented it her same way as she does during a regular market. She went through all of her steps. We did it remotely. And that house sold in 2 days, and all of the competition in the neighborhood is still for sale. But it's because she understands how important it is for presentation, especially marketing photos are right now. So it's like, if you're presenting well, you've got a pretty good market. There's fewer listings and fewer buyers, but they're more serious buyers. So it's been an interesting market.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I know in North Carolina, real estate was deemed essential.
Mm-hmm.
So in your area, are stagers, I know I'm talking to different stagers in different places, and even certain areas that have been deemed essential, some stagers are saying, you know what, too bad, so sad, we're going to sit this one out. What's it like in your area?
So in my area, what's happening is we've got counties that are coming up with their own guidelines. So I've got one county, they said, yes, you can still show homes, but you need to wear the masks, you need to do this hand sanitation, there's all of that. Then the very next, our next door neighbor is saying, no, sorry, you cannot show an occupied home. You cannot do any of those things within an occupied home. So, and I happen to live like a mile from that county line. So that's what's happening as far as what the government or what our guidelines are telling us, what we can and can't do. But we've got folks who are working anyway, and it's not being well received by the other stagers who are doing what they can to stay home, to quash down to flatten the curve and all those things. But then you've also got folks who have all this overhead, especially with the vacant side of their business, saying, I got to have something coming in, and I'm working vacants. Nobody's there, so it shouldn't really matter if I'm working or not. So there's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of discussion, and honestly, I don't know what the right answer is. I have people in my home who are high risk, and as a result, I choose not to go into homes. But this is not an easy question. It's not an easy answer. It's just not.
And Manol, what about in your area? So it's essential in your area. And I know some stagers are sitting it out while others are continuing to stage on.
Yes, it's very similar to what Bobby said. Multiple counties, they have different set of rules. And some counties have the same exact thing, mask and all the extra safety practices to go around while showing homes. ABOR here does say, they recommend doing everything virtually, but there's nothing like you can't do it. So there's still, one of my realtors, she showed a home yesterday. She opened the home. She had all the mask and everything on. She turned all the lights on, went and sat in the car. And then the clients walked in through that house, to see the house, the buyers. And then they came out and they sat in respective cars and they were talking about the house. So people are just doing that. As far as stages go, it's the same thing, like Bobby said, personal decisions here, because it is essential. Some of them, depending on their personal situation, it's like whether they want to sit it out or they go and stage. And I've had the same kind of conversations, as Bobby said, with multiple stagers about some of them not really understanding why the rest are going in and doing these things. But again, I personally have chosen not to do any in-person stuff or any in-person occupied stagings or consultations. Everything is done remotely, all the consultations. And I do choose to do some weekends for my repeat clients or the ones that I've been working with for quite some time, but it's all like investor weekends where there's nobody in there for months together. So, yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Well,
go ahead, Bobby.
Well, I was going to say there's been, this is what's been interesting, is that like the larger staging companies are having more issues because they have employees from all over coming together to work versus the mom and pop shops where it's the husband-wife team or the family, their kids or whatever, and they already live together, they're sheltering together, so why not work together? So, there's that. And I know I have one stager, she requires that the house be nobody in or out of the house, this is for vacants, for 3 days prior to their doing the installation. And then when they go to do the pickup, they require that no one can go into the house for 3 days prior to their pickup date. And then when they bring the items back to their warehouse, they don't shelve it. They actually just leave it on the truck and let it sit for an additional 3 days before they put it in. And I have another stager who puts it in like a quarantined area. They put everything there and they don't touch it. And they wait at least 3 days before they then put it in with them. Because, the information we have, says 3 days is the magic number. So, so again, as we're looking at each other, I know there's been a lot of like staging shaming going on there. We don't know people's circumstances. And if they have such strong controls like that, and all those things are being honored, why not work? But that's a very special thing. It's when people come in from other areas that's the part where I get nervous for them. That's me.
Yeah. And it's hard even with something like that, because somebody could put that that's their policy, and the homeowner can ignore it, the agent can ignore it, and they can say, oh, I'm just going to run over. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot that I went out and I went to the tiki bar, or I went to the pool, or I sat next to somebody and they shared their sneeze with me, and somebody got sick. So it's a hard call. I mean, I think definitely in the areas where you're not supposed to, and it's the absolute law, we need to encourage you to follow the law. I'm not going to encourage anybody to break the law. But it is rough, because staging community is relatively small community. Everybody's connected via, online through socials, and everybody kind of knows everybody. So all the stories get out and people start commiserating and talking about it. We want to be able to support the masses. And it's just, this is one of those things where you just can't make everybody happy. And the same rule doesn't necessarily apply. So there's going to be places in South Dakota that are very rural that you wouldn't take the same precautions or have the same heightened sense of health concern as you would if you were in Manhattan, if you're in the state of New York. So it's very different. And unfortunately, there's not a one size fits all. And so I know that what I can tell you is from reading practically every single order in the United States and Canada at this point, they've all kind of piggybacked off of each other. So you can I can tell, oh, this state kind of copied a little bit from somebody else's state, and somebody else has used this. And they're mimicking a lot of the same information. And in reality, there's really only about 4 sets of orders that the entire country has used. They're all pretty much the same verbiage even across the country. It's very interesting.
Well, it's easier if you know what you're fighting against. It's a lot easier than, this is nailing Jello to the wall. And let's be honest, and it's like daily. I mean, I've got a family member who will listen to the information all day long. And I'm like, I cannot take it all day long because there's so much infighting stuff. Just give me the facts. Give me the facts. I wish I could find a place that would just give me the facts, but Dragnet is over.
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am. Yeah. You know me, Bobby. I'm like, just bullet point it to me. All these extra words, my eyes just roll in the back of my head. So I'm right there with you. And there are some, that CISA order, oh my God, it's like 49 pages long.
Okay, what's that mean? What does that say?
The CISA order. CISA is the Department of Security and Homeland Security. I don't know the acronym, but Department of Homeland Security basically put out this order. It's called the CISA order. And basically it's just identifying your critical infrastructure sectors. And when they mean critical, the purpose of this originally, when this was all rolled out, they really meant critical. Like Pennsylvania is no joke. They have the strictest one in the country as far as I've read. And it's nope, nada, do nothing, do not pass go, do not collect $200, go back home, sit down. We appealed to them to at the very least, let stagers to be able to destage so they could collect their inventory, and they sent back a negative. I've appealed it with them. They still sent back a negative. So we're trying to advocate for, at least for our members, at least to be able to get them to be able to collect their property so they don't lose it. I think ultimately when it boils down to it, probably someone, if they knew their stuff was in danger, they're probably just going to go pick it up anyway, but people want to do the right thing. Right. So that order is it's a guideline, and it's the basis for the guideline that many of the states have adopted. So originally, when this very first started, within the first day of me reviewing different orders, I kept seeing a reference to the CISA order. So what I did was I went after the Department of Homeland Security and wrote them a letter requesting that staging be included in some way, shape, or form. We'll develop protocols, safety protocols, but what is it that we can do? And let's get some actual response and action from them. Because if we could have changed that one order, then that would have done the trickle down effect for everybody else. So what's ended up happening is through that CISA order, our association, and I'm sure other state associations for real estate agents, had petitioned CISA as well. So ultimately, CISA added real estate services to their order. So when I first started, real estate services was not on the order. Now it is on the order, but then it becomes a point of, okay, great, your state might say they're going to follow the CISA guideline, but do they consider staging as part of real estate services? Because the way they word it, it says real estate services, including title, appraisal, and settlement services. Well, staging isn't a settlement service, but are they listing examples like, here's a couple examples, but this isn't all the examples, or are they wording it just these two? So it's a way to interpret it. So there's arguments for both being said in both directions.
Well, my question has been, what does essential mean exactly? Because in the end, if your job pays your rent and your food and for your kids' stuff, it's essential.
Yeah.
So when they started using that word essential, I thought, I'm all about words, and words mean things.
Yeah. So Pennsylvania was life-sustaining service, where everybody else meant essential. And what they're meaning generally is it essential for the world to keep on spinning.
Gotcha.
And so when you look at it from that point of view, is the service of staging actual essential to make the world keep spinning? No, it's not. Mm-hmm. Is real estate? In reality, it's probably not. I mean, the infrastructure of society, the financial situation, yes, all of it's essential. We're all essential for that. The Subway sandwich shop is essential to make the world spin with our total economy when you look at it from that perspective. Mm-hmm. But I think that originally what they were going after was more things that were life sustaining. So they wanted all the first responders to be able to work. And they're all doing their best jobs. Bless them. I mean, every time I even go through the drive-thru at the McDonald's to get my sausage McMuffin and my small coffee with 3 creams and 3 sugars, because they know me that way, I go through and I thank them. Thank you for working today so I can have my sausage McMuffin, because I was dying for one. And, my daughter is an RN and her husband's an RN. And she's actually pregnant with her second child, our second grandchild from her. And she went on maternity leave early. Mm-hmm. And she said she's just not going to risk it. And then there's been even talk, should he even be coming home at night? He works the ER. So it's like, does he even want to come home at night, and put anybody at risk? So it's a definitely a tough situation everywhere. CISA, Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency. Thank you, Richard Klein. I don't see your last name, but I'm going to assume that's Richard.
Yeah, it feels like Richard.
I thought it was him.
So that's what that means. So the good news is that at least they added real estate. And I think hopefully in the next couple of weeks, they're going to start lifting some of these restrictions, and we'll be able to slowly get people back to work. But in the meantime, what I hear is the latest rage is the consultation via technology. So I know that I am going to be writing an article about this. And so I know, Bobby, you're doing this now, and you're doing them. I think you did them before even this, didn't you? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you work.
Okay, so I did them before with clients that I've worked with, to sell. I would go to their home, do the consultation, and they left the country. And so they would call, they'd call me or text me, email me, and say, we want you to help me, with our new house here in Spain or here in Chile. And I'm like, great, send me a ticket, I'm coming, right? They go, no, how about over the computer? So that's where I first started playing with this. And so that I found to be, I tried a couple of things and it was like, it took a lot of time. Well, when all this came up, I thought, okay, I'm going to hone that skill. So what I do is, first of all, I have a phone call with the client and I explain to them why they need to be putting the time into doing these things now, and explaining to them, whereas I may not be able to come into their home, I can still help them in their home. And so what I do is I have them actually take photos throughout the rooms. I explain exactly how I want the photos taken. I also have them take photos of the accessory type things that I would want to use, and explain to them what I'm looking for. And I give them that, and they send that to me, and I give them some homework to do, some pre-packing of things which we all know will not be in the home when those photos are taken. So I then put together, for me, I do a keynote. Let me step back. Before, what I was doing, they would send me the photos. I would get used to the house, and then I would have them walk through and do a video, and I would tell them what to do. And what I found was they were spending so much time trying to aim the camera just right or trying to understand what I meant. It was taken just way too long. So I kept thinking to myself, okay, I'm not communicating clearly. So I'm always about that. So in the end, I realized I had treasure in those photographs. So what I do is I put them into a Keynote, which is on a Mac, it would be a PowerPoint on the PC. And I use those photos to utilize the accessories and stuff. And I will do a very quick, and it's not fancy like, the interior design mood boards and all of this, but I'll rearrange the furniture and I will show them exactly where I want the photos to be hung or pictures to be hung and everything. So when we sit down for the actual consultation, the full consultation, it'll take us maybe an hour. I've put some time in ahead and we go through, I give them the video of that I record for them and send it to them. And then I tell them, take the computer with you into the room, put on enter. I want you to watch it and then pause it, do what was just said, and then go to the next room and do that. And it's really been well received. I mean, that's because I tried a few different ways and I told them I'm experimenting on you. And I had an agent say to me, he goes, oh, well, you don't even have to drive. Manol, tell me if this has happened to you, right? He says, oh, so you're going to charge less, right? Because you don't have to drive there. And I said, you mean I could have been charging my travel fee this whole time? Thank you. When things go back to normal, I'm going to start charging for my travel time. I thought you were, and so he's like, oh, so I have not reduced my prices, but also generally a consultation, it's my drive time, my time that I'm there. But again, they're not paying me for my time. They're paying me for my expertise. Exactly. Yeah. So, but in order to schedule, I have to have a unit. I have to have something. So that's why I say a consultation is up to 2 hours. Larger homes may take more time. And so I apply that to this as well, but it does take me more prep time. I'm getting faster at it. But I'm not going to charge them my learning curve.
Right.
That's not fair. So but I'm getting faster and faster at them. I'm getting better about the communication, and I'm seeing the same misunderstandings. So instead of saying it louder and more often, I'm changing the words that I'm saying, and I'm seeing better results. So I just go through that process. Then if they elect to, I will then do a photo prep with them. So we've now done the consultation. They have everything they need to do everything. What they're doing is the day before photos, usually in real life, I would go the day of photos to do those final touches. What I will do is the day before, we'll walk through with the video, and I'm very, very specific, move this, move that, and I have two of them work in tandem. So one's holding the camera and the other one's doing things. So it's worked out really well. It's worked out really well. And I could see a difference between the consultation only versus with the photo prep. And the caveat with these are too, is that they're using only what they have because they're not going out shopping.
So are you doing, when they send you their information initially for you to review, is it photos only, or are you also having them do a video so you can see the flow and maybe just stand in like a living room and just shoot the video for like a full minute? Or
no, because this is what I found. And I realized, oh, I need to put this on my clients too, because if I'm thinking this, they must be thinking the same thing. The videos, and this is another thing. Oh God, we could go a whole thing about this. The pictures are fast and quick. And so I'm very specific about how I want them to shoot the photos in each room. So when they follow that formula, I don't need them to swing around. I don't need that, because when they take the pictures the way I tell them to, I see through the door. So I know, oh, that's that bedroom, or
Gotcha.
Oh, there's the dining room. So yeah.
Gotcha. And Manol, how are you doing yours?
Yeah, so it's, I have to give a shout out to Audra's webinar that I went on, and she has a 4-step process, I think, for remote consultations, and I tweaked that to how I know I would like it. So I have made it into a 3-step process, very similar to what Bobby's doing. So first I send them, the clients, an email with all my instructions as to how to take your photos, what to expect, 2nd step, 3rd step. And then they send me photographs. so I know the flow because that's how I ask them to take the photograph. So I see the next room. And after that, we do like a 30-minute, 40-minute video walkthrough. And then I send them a report, a very, specific report. It's not very general or anything, very specific to their house, detailing exactly what they need to get done. So after that, if they want any further services, that's like an add-on, like another photo prep. After they've done their work, I would, do another video call with them, tweaking a few things. That takes about 30-35 minutes, I've seen. So in essence, it's like it's actually taking me less time than me having to go drive up, but I haven't reduced my prices either. It's the same. And I think one of the benefits for me is that most of these, I think 90% of the remote consultations I do for staging are coming through my realtor clients. So they already know my process. I have given them my a little PDF of my 3-step process, and they give it to their clients ahead of time. So they have kind of prepped them, and then I talk with them. So it's working out pretty well. Yeah.
Excellent. So both of you, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're verbally telling them what to do, or you're putting it in written form. You're not doing anything to tweak or mark up the photos, correct?
I'm not doing anything like that. It just took me a little longer than I would want to. Yeah, I am doing like a regular report a little. Yeah, it's not as detailed because they're doing that anyway when we are, going through the houses. Usually the second person taking notes. So I just make a report of what's really important, priority list kind of a thing in each room that we go through, and then that's how it works.
Very good. So we've got
I do use pictures. I do.
Do you mark them up?
I mark the pictures up. I do. It's because it's so much easier. I don't have to say, go get the I have a goat picture right now. Go get the goat picture and put it here. It's like there's a very perfunctory cutout from the pictures of the goat on the wall exactly where I want it. So when we sit there, I go, this is what I want.
Right.
It's
so
Bryn
is asking a question. What if the furniture is awful?
That's reality. I mean, what you gonna do?
I've had a few lucky clients because they're open to shopping a few, basic things. I mean, furniture, yes, not big piece of furniture, but something to cover them up, like a throw or pillows, larger pillows, 24 by 24, or some such things like a rug. Many of them that I've done, they're open to buying. And lucky also that some of my realtors have their stuff that they loan to their clients to stage. So the realtors are going in, I'm telling them, okay, because I've worked with them so much, I know what they have. Right. So I say, okay, take that skyline piece and then give it to them. And, that's how they kind of work it out between the realtor and buying a few stuff, but not big items. Yeah, not furniture.
So here's a great tip. Adrian just posted, and I'm sure this is Adrian Lord from Florida, because I believe there's an at-home there. But with the at-home stores, if you have one in your area, if your client's open to purchasing things, you can actually do the shopping for them online, and they can do a curbside pickup and pick it up.
Fabulous. Good to know. That's good to know. It's really funny. One of my stocks in trade is that I work the occupied side. That's what I do. And what I discovered years ago was that there are more people out there who do not have the budget to buy new furniture or to rent furniture. So learning to work with those, let's say, well-loved pieces has been a real challenge. So one of the things I will do with them is I will explain to them the art of the edit. And there's also, I explained to them how important the photos are. So I just recently had a house. It was like a $600,000 or $700,000 house, and they had theater chairs, with the cup holders built in, theater chairs in their family room. And it was just and it just was not attractive. And so one of the things I had talked to them about was, let's move those out, at least have them out for the photos. If they've got to be here when you do that, but do whatever you can to get as strong as possible photo. So there are many items that I will say to them, this is a photo scrub item. Let's scrub it out. Because right now, people they can't even donate stuff.
Yeah.
So now the donation spots are open. So that's a great question. But yeah, when I see there's a certain style of sofa, I think they call them a motion sofa. When I see those, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
they do nobody good. You know
And
what I'm
so-
talking
also
about.
with the situation where everyone's working from home, there's a lot of makeshift desks in the living room, in the bedrooms, and all the clutter and laptops and paperwork, homeschooling stuff, and all of that. So that's a scrub thing,
Yep.
that you were saying. Just take it out for the photographs, then bring it back in.
That's true.
Because it's huge. Even just to take it out for the photographs, it's a huge process for them. So just clearing that right now is a huge deal for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So someone was asking, how do you mark up the photos? So in PowerPoint, at the top of where all your menu items are up at the top, there's a little graphic buttons, and you can draw lines, you can do a square, you can put text in, so you can type on words on top of the image. I'm assuming it's the same thing for Keynote. I have a Mac, but I've never even opened Keynote.
Oh,
I know.
Keynote just makes it happen.
I know.
And another thing, for my fellow Mac people out there, there's something called Instant Alpha, and that's where you can take the background away. So it's like I'll get like a picture of a piece of art, and then I can take away yeah. But there's also the copy and paste where you just like, I have them take pictures of the room, and then when they send me the photos and I set it up on Keynote, my last few slides, it's the inventory, it's my shopping center. And I'll just go and I use, what is that called? It's over here, Sketch. Do you guys know about Sketch?
I've never heard of it.
Sketch is this great thing. I always keep it in my doc. SKITCH. And what you do is it will like do a screen snap. So right now, if I were to pull up Sketch, I could do a picture just of Manol, and it would hold it and save it and put it onto my desktop. Or I could hit another thing and it would do the whole screen capture. And it's great because I use that left and right when I'm doing work. And it's like with any tool, the more you use it, the faster you get at it. So I discovered it took me less words to tell them, take pictures of all your stuff and put it in. And they'll go, what are you going to do with it? I could just trust me and do it. And so I've now learned I need to have them put their hand in the picture so that I can get an idea of the scale of the piece.
There you go.
And then, and so I'll do that. And then I click, see, I'm continuing. And then I can just drag and drop and put through. And when I'm showing, they go, oh, we never thought to put that piece there. It answers what piece goes where, what height should it be. It's just made life so easy. So I don't know. I think that'd be a fun class.
Yeah, and I also add a small little document when I send them the first email about general, dimensions of how high the art should be hung, or things like that. So just general things that they can start doing before even we have the consult. Mm-hmm. And there's a question about how you wording, how you want them to take the photos. That's part of Audra's webinar and the resources she gave from there. So she has the wordings there. I just use that, and that's worked perfectly for me.
Yep. Oh, correction on the tip regarding at home. That's from Adrian Young in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
And Veronica's asking a question. What's your advice in a county that has deemed real estate as essential but haven't specifically called out staging as a component? Do you move forward? How do we convince agents that we are essential like other partnering service providers? Well, I don't think you'll have to do any sort of convincing to any real estate agents, because they're, from what I hear, they're very much wanting stagers to stage even when it's not essential. So I don't think you're going to have any problem convincing them to do it. It's up to you. It's not likely that any state is going to actually list the words staging. If one or two do, it's great job that we all did making that happen. It's just not likely they're going to go that far into it. Just like they can't possibly list every profession in the world. That's the hard part about this, is that, the writers of this, they don't all know about all these different professions and trades and industries and how we're all interconnected and how we link up together. And I, for one, being in a leadership position and knowing how difficult it is to make these types of decisions when you launch out something new, try real hard not to criticize the government for what they're doing right now, because the undertaking wow, just must be absolutely overwhelming. And I definitely appreciate all of their efforts. Just so everybody does know, we have, as an organization, I've written letters to the 4 top congressional leaders in addition to Donald Trump about making sure that they were including small business owners in grant relief programs. So in the very beginning, many, many weeks ago, it's probably 5 or 6 weeks ago now, in the beginning when all this started happening, it was, oh, we're going to give you loans. And I'm like, loans? Why would you give people these loans? We didn't cause this problem. Why should lenders make a buck off of the demise of a small business owner? So I wrote to the government, and we put information out there asking them to include small businesses in the grant program, the PPE and the EIDL. So I think it's one of those things that every person, you kind of just have to decipher for your own self, what your rules are. Nobody's going to actually come out and say, staging or this, that, or the other, give you a 100% green light. So we're doing the best that we can to compile the information, but ultimately, Veronica, you have to make a call on your own if it's essential and you're comfortable with it. It's up to you. If you don't want to sit it out, it's up to you if you want to go ahead and stage.
And one of the things too that I know there's been a lot of push to try and get guidance, like the ultimate decision. RESA makes an ultimate decision for the home staging industry. The thing is, we're not a union. We're a trade association. And so I just know the hours upon hours upon hours that have been devoted to herding cats is what's happening right now. And so, Shell, I want to thank you and the other folks in the HQ team who've been compiling this information, because as much as we are all watching it for our own area, I know that you guys are watching it for the whole area, and there's just so many moving parts. So, the recommendation is, if you can stay sheltered in, of course, we would encourage you to do so we can flatten that curve. But again, just like you said, in the end, everybody needs to make their own decision. Just make it based on as much information as you can for your area.
Yeah, for sure. Joe, go ahead and post your question. We will get to that.
I can't read that.
Grace Ann is posting she's lost some jobs to stagers that are willing to go into the house as well. She's in Illinois. I can't remember if I ate today, but I know that Grace Ann lives in Illinois.
There you go.
That's funny.
So, okay. I was talking to one of my agents earlier because I was wanting to pick their brains as to, what's happening, what's the agent mindset and all those types of things. And so I asked him, because I will go in and I go in to see people, and that's really, it's a huge part of his business is having me come into the home. I'm part of the whole process, his marketing, etc. And he said, look, if every stager out there were to sit down and make up a list of the agents that really they super, super enjoy working with, or that they want to make sure that they're working with when the orders are lifted and all of that, he said, have them reach out to those agents like once a week. Not hire me. No, but how are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? Thinking about you.
Yeah.
Just a touch. It doesn't have to be this big production. Just a real touch. It could be social media, what have you. He said, then when there's those agents that, they have you come in for the trouble listings, or, just once in a while and things, reach out to them maybe once a month, so that there's some kind of connection. But don't make it about you and your business. Just find out how they're doing. And honestly, I really believe a lot of agents will no longer be in business on the other side of this, because it's the same thing as when there was a downturn back in 2008. It was like a lot of people left they were no longer in the real estate world. So keep in touch with people as things go, because as things change, you're just going to know. And it's the connections. He was really encouraging me. He says, if they keep connection, that's the number one thing, because right now people are suffering from disconnect. So he was really recommending that we do that and just find out, is there something, you can, and if you find out it's somebody's birthday, or you see they're posting up. I've got one agent, every Wednesday night is theme night. So tonight it's red, white, and blue night. So I'd asked her if she'd do something with me this evening. She goes, "Oh, sorry, it's theme night." So she and her family do these things. Well, I know that about her. So now when I'm talking to her, it's like, "Oh, what's your theme for the night?" Right? So it's really an opportunity for, if you're not working with your agents and somebody else has come in and has swooped in and they're doing the work anyway, you know what? That agent has a relationship with you. And what they're doing right now is they're making do. So instead of just being that silent, being upset that they're working with someone else, just keep a connection, because in the end, that agent's going to make a decision when everything lifts on whether to work with you or to work with these people. And so if you're silent, they're going to be wondering, are you even still in business? So just make sure you don't, that you don't stop reaching out. And if somebody else is working your territory, so to speak, you know what? I've had this where I've had people cover for me years ago. When I was doing vacants, I would have people cover for me and I would say, "This is my fee structure. Make sure you charge at least that." And they would come in, and inevitably they would come in and stage a house for half of what I would have charged. Well, then that agent would start using them for all the vacants. And it was interesting because somebody said, "Aren't you upset about that?" And I said, "Actually, no, because that showed me that they were more concerned about bottom line than the results I bring to the table." So it's okay. Everybody has a price point. There's a lot more work out there. So just don't think if that one agent's working with somebody else, for now, it's the end of the world. It's not. But don't give up. Make sure you just reach out, check on them.
Yeah. And it'll bounce back. Is this one thing that I know is this a disaster like this? It's kind of like a wildfire for entrepreneurs. It kind of just goes through and whatever's standing in its way kind of takes it out. And then you end up with your survival. But there's a lot of things that people can do to survive in the meantime. So I know a lot of people might work in areas where you have more seniors. And so that might be your clientele. So they're not the DIYers, right? Not able to do that. So for somebody like that, let's give some tips about what that person can do. If right now they're shut down, they can't really do anything, their hands are tied, work on your website, all your policies and procedures, that to-do lists that everybody has that you never get to. I showed you all part of my basement. I work in my office in my basement. I showed these two. There's boxes over there from RESACon from July that they're still there. I'm not unpacking them. And because, another RESACon in person will be there right around the corner. We'll just have to pack them up again. But those are the things you want to do. Do that autopsy on your business. What goes well, what doesn't go well? What are your policies, procedures that you want to change? Update your website, your content. Do everything that you can to keep in touch with your clients so they don't lose sight that you're still available. So when things do lift, you can get right back on it. Any other tips that you might share, Manal?
Yeah, I mean, just to, I have a free listing on Yelp, right? So it's not a pro or paid listing or anything on Yelp, but they have a COVID situation alert, some kind of a banner that pops right up saying where you can put that your business is still open, but what you're doing and what you're not doing. So look at where you can put those things out so people know that you're still on, but you may not be doing certain things, or what services do you provide. So look for those things. And I got two calls through Yelp after I posted that. And that was on some webinar I had attended, and that was one of the tip I took away from it. And right off the bat, 2 calls saying that, awesome. I see that you're working. So can you do this? He was like, yeah. So
there you go.
Yep, absolutely. So let's talk about virtual staging. So I've heard, not from a ton of people, but just seems like a couple that have sprinkled across my path in the last 2.5 weeks per se, is that they've said some people are doing the virtual staging now, and they're concerned that agents are going to continue to do that. And my answer for that is still a vacant, empty house when they get there. So in reality, was that a good return on their investment, or was that wasted money because it's still an empty vacant house when they get there? So there's no buyer connection. There's no emotional response when you walk in. It's like, oh God, those pictures were great, but ooh, what a letdown. So you just paid money for somebody to be disappointed when you walked in the listing and they didn't get to see what they saw online. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so I had a realtor who asked me to stage an occupied home, and I said, I'm not doing that at this point. They went ahead and did the virtual staging, and it looked great. I should admit it, it looked great. But when the realtor went back to do a virtual walkthrough with the prospective buyer, they couldn't connect with the house because the virtual staging made it look so different from the actual occupied home
Mhm.
that the realtor told me that it was a disconnect actually. So they showed it, and then he took the pictures down, and we did the remote consultation, and then he took the pictures again. But I don't know what the status is right now, but with the virtual staging, that was the issue he had.
You know, what's been interesting here is the way that they're doing marketing right now is within everything that they're writing up, house totally vacant, ready to move in. And they are touting the fact that there's nothing in the houses. It's because there's the perception, at least as I was trying to figure out what the perception is, that the house is sterile if there isn't stuff in there, so that someone can safely move into the house. So I've been seeing agents who've actually been touting the fact that the houses are vacant. Now, do they look as good as when they're staged? Of course they
Of course
don't.
not.
But this is a pivot point that these agents are doing, and we just need to realize this. So, what I'm looking to do is, as a stager, because again, I don't do the vacant side, but I do refer vacants all the time. And what I'm looking at is I'm like thinking, let them show the vacant houses, because exactly what Manol said, when they go in, if the people finally go to see the house, there's not going to be that connection. And in the meantime, those vacant houses right now that they're focusing in on the fact that it's totally vacant, it's an anomaly. So it's short term. It's short term. They're reacting to what's going on in the world right now. And honestly, I don't blame them for that. So honestly, for them to invest in virtual, I think shooting themselves in the foot. I think it makes more sense, money sense. If you can't really stage that house, vacant is better than to go virtual. I just think it's truth in advertising.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of what's going to happen is like what Manol's example was, is that they might have been great for, staging all the time up until COVID-19. And
That's
then they
right.
tested their waters in the virtual and then got a negative result. And they're going to be like team stager all the way from here on out. So it'd probably be a
Exactly.
boost to the industry.
Exactly. So don't be afraid when people bring it up. Don't be afraid to discuss it, and just,
Yeah,
give that feedback.
here in Austin, we have had, I spoke with a few other stages. We've been contacted by photography companies that are offering these virtual staging services to stagers, stagers who do weekends,
Ah,
but they are saying that, we'll give you at this price point if you refer us for this or whatever, business model that you might have to do the virtual staging. And so, yeah, that's another trend. The fact that they're calling stagers who actually do the weekends. They're like, oh, we see, your website, your work looks good. We want to offer this to you. Like, no, I'm not doing that at this point. I do weekends at true staging or no. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
another thing that I've heard from a few other stagers as well here in Austin.
So what about the financial relief? Do either one of you have employees where you've applied for PPP?
No, I don't.
No.
okay. I am an employee. I'm an LLC, taxes and S corp. So
Mm-hmm.
I am an employee, and I
Yep.
got to tell you, the paperwork has just been fascinating, and the silence is deafening. It's deafening. So I'm like thinking, so do I lay myself off and go get unemployment? It's like, it's craziness. I'm like thinking to myself, and I feel really bad. Richard, yeah, no, Eric Reeves. I knew Eric Reeves, our North Carolina president. He put together a talk with a CPA about all the different letters. And one of the things that happens, if you happen to be that LLC S corp and you're not paying yourself, you don't get any of these letters involved, because you have to be an employee in order to be able to take advantage of these things. So it's been an eye opener through this whole thing. All these different letters that I have in my business matter. And I think that's another thing that all of us within our industry need to do, is really look at what your entity is and how you're set up, because people are being included and people are being excluded. And honestly, I think the reason I haven't heard anything is I'm too small.
Yeah.
I think I'm too small. So
Well,
I don't think.
did you receive a confirmation that they received your information?
Yes.
Oh, you did. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So
I received the confirmation, but nothing yet.
yeah, the interesting thing for us is that, RESA is a not-for-profit organization. So, and we're tax exempt. So we don't pay federal taxes. We're deemed that by the IRS as a legitimate trade association. But yet, when you look at the PPE and their guidelines, everything that they say on there, they only approve 501c3s and 19s. So all the other, C categories that are tax exempt are not included in that. So we've applied because we're going to let them deny us and whatnot. And then, of course, you can go to the EIDL, which I guess originally was loans, and that you could get up to $10,000. And I think they changed it to $1,000 per employee to help you out. But definitely the SBA has got some small business loans that will be low interest, and that some of that is going to be forgivable as well. It is way too complicated to get into on a webinar.
Right.
So we suggest that you go directly to the SBA website, and that you understand them. You can apply for both. It's not a one or the other. One is for Paycheck Protection Program, and the other is more, like I said, like a loan. So you can certainly apply for them. You can get your approval. You can read the paperwork. You can read the terms. And then if you don't agree to the terms, and you should read them, and if you don't understand them, you should find somebody who does. You can always not sign them. You don't have to go through with it once you get it, if it's something that you're not in agreement with.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm telling you.
There is a lot. And it's like, I am not into all that stuff. And my poor husband, I'm like, what does this mean? So he's interpreting for me. So poor guy. Pray for him, you guys. He needs help with he has no escape from me. So
I know from what I'm hearing with people that have contracts out that are extended right now, that nobody's charging, everybody's being very gracious with their clients. From what I've heard is that they're not charging the late fees. They're doing everything they can to work with the clients, especially if they're not able to pick things up and if it needed to stay a little longer. Are you finding that the same in your area? Good.
yes, in my area,
Yes.
one agent in particular was saying that she really appreciated, she said, I am so appreciative that this stager is doing this. She said, because otherwise I would not be able to do what it is that I do. And so that is creating that relationship that on the other side of this will be remembered.
For sure. What about in your area, Manol?
Yeah, so I've been talking to a few other stagers, and some of us are being very generous with things, late fees, of course, extensions, but I have not heard of a lot of people giving free renewals or a free month. Like I saw some question about a free month renewal. I've not spoken personally with anyone who's doing that, but yes, a lot of generosity in terms of late fees and extensions. Yeah.
Very good. So we're coming up to the end of our time. If anybody's got some last minute questions that you want to post, go ahead and do so, and we'll keep talking. And we'll wait for a couple more to come in, just so everybody realizes RESACon, we had to change gears with RESACon. It was an painstakingly difficult decision to be able to make, to be able to decide, do we hold off? Do we give it till a certain amount of time, see if things have changed, or do we switch gears as early as we possibly can to give everybody as much heads up notice? So we went ahead and changed gears. So it is going to be in a virtual format. We're working right now. We are literally having to triage everything it is that we're doing right now, because COVID for RESA HQ has turned us upside down, and we're pretty sure we're hanging upside down in our airplane seats with a seatbelt still attached to us while we're dangling. That's what it feels like most days. So we're trying to get through the awards situation right now, because we're in the screening to try to catch any rules violations, so those members can get those corrected before we start voting. And once we do that, then we're going to go on to the actual platform for a virtual RESACon. So stay tuned. We'll be marketing the heck out of it. But the good thing about this, if you want to look on the bright side of things, I try to always think about what can we look at this, something that's good? Well, you're not going to have any travel expenses.
Very good.
That's a good thing. Even though you're in the hotel the whole time for RESACon, it's not 110 degrees outside. So you won't be there, but you would be on the inside. And if you were outside, you're probably going to drink a Mai Tai and sit by the misters at the M Resort anyway. So you're probably happy anyway, but for right now, you don't have to do that. So we're going to look to jazz it up with a virtual event as best as we can, and hopefully have some exciting bells and whistles. Now, obviously, the content's going to be there because it's the same speakers.
Right.
So same information, just a different way to be able to deliver that particular information. Any last words for either one of you?
Well, what I have been telling some of my friends and stagers and a few other people are just accept the situation first, where we are, what we are going through right now, and then adapt, whether it's personally or professionally. So first you have to see what's going on, accept, and then adapt. That's my mantra for this time, I guess.
That's good.
Bobby?
That's good. Yeah, I totally agree. And please take care of yourself. What I've seen is that I've got some stagers who've reached out to me and they're so fixated on what they don't have or they're not able to do that they're not able to move forward. Shell, you're mentioning, doing those things that you've been wanting to do. Do that not only for your business, but do that within your home and then do that for yourself. So I know that I'm in my office and there's a closet right here. And I have told myself for the last 2 years, I'm going to get in there and get that all organized. And finally, one day I was like so overwhelmed trying to figure out how I was going to do stuff. I just thought, I can't figure that out. I ripped that closet apart, put it back together. Every time I walk by that closet now, I'm so happy. Okay. So it's like I did something that I just put up. I did that. So now what I realize is I'm doing 3 things a day. I'm doing something for my business. I'm doing one of those things that have driven me crazy because I never have time for. And I'm actually going outside for a walk. And it's like going outside. And I will even admit pulling weeds the other day was glorious. It was like getting away from the technology, getting away from the news. So just want you guys to be thinking of yourselves as whole people instead of just business owners. I think it's really important. It'll help you get through this because now my anxiety is much less than it was. I was difficult to live with. So.
Look at Richard's comment on there. Did you see that?
I did it. What did it say?
Just go ahead. Just go read it. That's why I'm laughing. It's like, darn it, Richard. He did it again.
I didn't see it. What does it say? Read it. I can't see it.
He's lucky if he puts his pants on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Okay, I have to tell a story.
Yeah.
And if this agent ever sees this, I will never say it was you. There was an agent I was on the phone with. We were doing a Zoom call, and we were going back and forth. And he's in his office and everything's like looking really good. And so I asked him something. He goes, oh, hold on. And he's pushed his chair back, a sliding office chair, to grab something off the cadenza. He was in his boxer shorts. And he pulled back up. He was oblivious to the fact I knew he was in his boxer shorts. It was so funny. So just remember, if you're in your boxer shorts.
It's funny. They talked about on a talk show about, is everybody wearing their pants? And it's like, I'm wearing pants, but I'm not going to lie to you. I put a clean shirt on, but my pants do have horse manure on them.
Okay.
So I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie.
There you go.
They do. So yeah, you definitely want to take care of yourselves and do something for you. I know for me, it's outside working with the horses. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'm a little envious of everybody that I see online going, I've got so much time on my hands. I'm so bored. I'm not experiencing that at all. So it's like, it's not lessened our workload. It's doubled our workload here. So definitely for myself personally, just to try to keep my mental stability, which is not always easy on certain days because there's so much going on, getting out of that house, setting your boundaries, when it's time to end work,
Yes.
Because what I do for me, I know I burn out. And so it's like, you feel like you have to keep going and you have to keep going. And it's almost like an addiction. And I've worked really hard over the last few years to try to make those boundaries. And it's something that you always have to revisit because as soon as you set one, chances are you'll sooner break it before it becomes a habit. So you want to get back into those ways to be able to take care of yourself. So Manol, can you give us one tip that you would say of how you can keep in touch with an agent right now? Networking with an agent or reaching out to somebody?
Personally, it would be social media, like a Facebook account if you're following them, or Instagram. Just comment sincerely, not just a like or a thumbs up or something like that. Just a nice little comment. Oh, I love that blue color, something like that. So you're not just another like in their books, and that'll help them remember you a little better, I guess. So
yeah. Bobby, same question.
You bet. This is I've been going through the last 16 years of my photos. Okay, I mean all 16 years, and I have found photos of agents through the years, some who I still work with, some who I don't, and I'm sending them to them and say, oh my God, I just found this, thinking of you, that you know, and it's so funny because they reach it back out, oh, I remember that house, and they go on and on and on. So I've been doing that, and it's been fun for me too. So, or sometimes on Facebook, it'll say, you know, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, if there's an agent or a house in there, forward it to them and just say, oh my gosh, I just thought of you. Remember this house? And it's really funny because it's what you have in common unites you. And that shared history, even if we haven't been working together recently, that shared history connects you. And that's what it's all about.
I love that. And when Bobby speaks, Felicia puts her to work. So apparently that's going to make a fantastic blog, Bobby.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
I'm sure
read that, but okay.
I'm sure Felicia will reach out to you because it did sound like a great one. So, all right, that's it. That's the end of our time. So I want to thank everybody for taking an hour out of your evening to join us. This is a new resource that one of our state presidents had brought to the table and said, we think we should do this and get different industry leaders. So we're going to do this every Wednesday, same time. So join us next time. We might have some more information. Things are changing on the daily. And of course, if there's anything that myself or RESA staff can do for you in the meantime, please do reach out. Until then, please stay healthy until you can get back to your happy staging. Until next time, bye everybody.